As usual, consider this your early warning system if you're watching it the day it came out. If not, disregard this message. But for those of you who are watching this on Thursday, this is your early warning that we are going to be streaming again at twitch.tv/LollujoFM at 9 PM tonight. It's just going to be picking up wherever we leave off on this video. So we'll do a couple of games today and then we'll just carry on again on Twitch this evening. Hopefully, as many of you as possible can come and join me over there. It's twitch.tv/LollujoFM. Hello and welcome to part 5 of The Sugar Daddy. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode we've got a Mickey Mouse Checkatrade nonsense trophy game, possibly the first one we've had on the channel ever, against Sheffield United, and then we're away against Forest in League One. They're two big teams to be playing, even if one of the competitions is stupid and meaningless. Since you were last with me on video, obviously on stream, you've seen all of this if you've been watching over on Twitch or catching the stream replays that now appear between these episodes here on the YouTube channel. But since you were last with me, we finally lost our first game in the league. Our unbeaten season potential has disappeared completely. We are still top of the league and we are still too good for this division, I think. We're only 1 point clear, but we do have 2 games in hand, so I think we're probably going to be okay in the league. But it would be nice to pick up the Checkatrade Trophy to go with it. And this is the final one of our group games. And if I can find our group, we're not doing too great in it. We basically need a win. And I'm going to be rotating the team despite that. But there you go. Okay, so we're currently second in the group. I thought we were third. So we're just about through anyway, unless we lose massively. Is that how that works? So it's not quite so much of a horrific thing that I'm going to be rotating the team. And this is the rotated team that we're going to be playing, because we've got a lot of players who are going away on international duty. We've had a bit of a problem with players needing to go away and be sent on little holidays for their rests. So those two particularly, which is Turns and Vasberg, they're not even in the squad today because they're going to have a little rest. They've just been on international duty. There's no point bringing them back in for a game like this. But if we're not dropping, I hope they're not listening. If we're resting them, we may as well rest a whole load of the team as well and just shake things up a little bit. Try some of these players who, for example, Sergio Gonzalez, we paid £2 million for in the summer. And has he even started a game yet? He's started 3 games for us. None particularly recently. He's been probably the biggest victim of Ricky Martin turning up at the club and taking his ball-winning midfielder position in the centre midfield that he would have had. But we spent £2 million on him. We probably need to get him in the team every now and again and give him a little bit of experience. So we'll do that. So this is our team. We've got Bettinelli in goal, a back 4 of Hill, Calva, Mendes and Every, a midfield of Abrams, who came through the Deeping youth system, Wedderburn, who I think is another one of our youth players. Let me just check that. Yeah, he's another product of our youth system, making his debut for us today. And then Gonzalez with Muller in behind Salvador and Canedo. So as a front 3, we should still be quite threatening. A draw is definitely good enough to get us through into the knockout rounds of this competition. As long as we don't get absolutely spanked, a defeat might well get us through as well. Yes, some players will play here, others will play elsewhere. That's how it all works. Right, let's get into the game. Our microphone's in the way. So there you go. As it stands right now, we are through. So we just need to make sure we don't lose. I think it's as long as we don't lose by 2 or more goals. So a 1-0 defeat is not a disaster. Bettinelli with a good save there. I thought we were going to test my theory straight away that a 1-0 defeat would be okay, but Bettinelli has decided to continue letting me play with guesswork by pulling off an excellent save. And hopefully we're now going to charge up and go 1-0 up. That would be rather marvellous if we did. Muller to Salvador. Abrams is in, and we do go 1-0 up. 12 minutes on the clock. It's Andrew Abrams. I think that might be his first goal for the club. But it's certainly his first goal of the season. He's another one who, because Ricky Martin is knocking around the club now, is missing opportunities that he would possibly have got otherwise. With us playing with 3 central midfielders, he'd definitely be on the periphery of being one of those 3, but he's struggling to get game time because we're playing someone who's not very good in there, because the stream told us to. But as it stands right now, we will finish top of this group, which, bearing in mind we've rotated our team for every single one of these 3 games, shows just how good not just our first team is, but our entire squad and our youth setup here at Deeping Rangers. because at least 7 or 8 of this team that we've got out there today are players who've barely played this season, and just they wouldn't even come into consideration for starting spots in our first team. There's obviously a few familiar faces in there, but Wedderburn there is a perfect example of someone who hasn't even been on my radar. He's come into the team today because I literally hit the full rotation button and let my assistant manager pick the team for me, and he just plucked him out of the under-21s or under-23s or whatever it is. And I didn't even know who he was. And that's not me being a complete monster. We have a lot of youngsters with quite good potential, so I don't know all of their names yet. But he's definitely one of them, and it shows just the kind of strength that we've got, that every time we play one of these full rotation teams in this competition, another name or two just sort of crops up that I wasn't familiar with before, and I want to stay in the competition purely to allow us to carry on doing that, and it being an opportunity for these players to impress me, to get them involved in the team on a more regular basis, so that we can start developing some of this youth, which long term is going to be how we succeed with Deeping Rangers. Yeah, we've got loads of money down here in League One, but even taking that step up to the Championship, we're not going to be the richest team in the Championship next year. And certainly with the attendances we get, we're going to be minnows as and when we make it to the Premier League. So our only hope for long-term success is to build on the fact that we've got a really, really, really good youth system and start bringing these players through, either with a view to building a first team around our own youngsters, or if we want to do it the more cynical way, just have it as an extra stream of income, where if we're selling 4 or 5 players for a couple of £1 million each every summer, then that's extra money going into the kitty that we're not getting from our smaller attendances and smaller ground that we've got compared to what Premier League opposition is likely to be. It's nice taking a long-term view on a football club again. With the Expedition of Gold, it's all become a little bit mercenary, and Kev wants his gold, and that reality, that universe, that version of Kev, he's a monster who just wants to win things. This reality, the Kev from the universe of many Kevs, he wants to build a dynasty and take on a long-term job at Deeping Rangers. He wants Deeping Rangers. I don't know why I'm speaking in the third person. I want a Deeping Rangers Champions League win, and I won't rest until I get one or FM18 comes out, whichever happens sooner. We've really left this quite late in the game to have any chance of doing it, but we'll give it our best shot, certainly. And we're 3-2 up at half time, going into the second half, and we probably need to look to rotate the front three around a little bit, because of everyone. I mean, everyone else is pretty much rotated anyway, but this front three could conceivably be the front three that starts our next league game in just a couple of games' time. But we are struggling a little bit with injuries with our attacking players, hence they're all in the team right now. But I think let's get Canedo off. Who's Daniel Legg? Let's bring him on. Let's have a look at him. Daniel Legg is 24 years old and signed on a free. I mean, he's never going to be any good. I don't know why he's still here. Which one of them does he want to be? He can be our deep lying forward. We'll also take off Muller and bring on Evan Osborne-Stone, who is 20. He's another one who's got some potential. Oh, he's on loan from Sunderland. Why do we care about him? Why did we even bring him in? Why are we developing someone else's youth? I think that was probably when I thought we were only going to have one attacking midfield player. It was perhaps before we signed the extra one, and I just wanted bodies in the squad. So 2 substitutions that really aren't going to help the future of Deeping Rangers Football Club, but sometimes it's all about protecting the present and resting some of these players who have played a lot of games recently. We've got a 26-year-old Faroese international right back who's been playing regularly in League One, and we haven't even considered giving him a game. He's our 5th choice right back. That shows how much this team has moved on since last year and the year before, when he was a regular starter for us, and he was a regular starter at Posh the year before that as well. So we're further proof that we're too good for this league when someone like that is our 5th choice right back. I like being the best team by a long way in the league. It's fun. It's going to be horrible next year when we get promoted and we're not stomping all over everybody anymore. But can we grab a 4th goal now? We can, and it's Salvador, and it's an absolute beauty. Ricardo Salvador, his 13th goal of the season, and there you go. We are going to top our group, and that's a lovely little finish. I think Did Stevie Mack win the Checkatrade? I think he might have done. I don't think there's been a single competition on the route up from Tier 9 to League 1 that Deeping Rangers haven't won at some point. They've won all of the league titles. They've won all of the cups. So the one missing one that we've played in so far and haven't ever won is League 1, which we should sort out this season. But obviously I'd like to have a Checkatrade in the trophy cabinet as well. And I suppose if you count the FA Cup and the EFL Cup as well, we've not won those, obviously. But we're not supposed to win those. We're just there to make up the numbers in the early rounds. So all of the ones we're supposed to have a chance of winning, we've won, apart from League 1. That whole sentence is a lot less impressive now. I've remembered there's other cups we haven't won. Right, are we going to hold on? We have held on. We're top of our group. Sheffield United will probably feel a little bit miffed. Who cares? We get through. I don't know if being top makes a difference. Are we seeded in the next round? I don't actually know. What I do know is we've got to play Forest now, and that's probably going to be a tougher game. Back to full strength then for the Forest game away from home. We are going to go to counter-attacking on this one. Forest are one of our promotion challenging rivals, and we're away from home against a team who, no matter how much money we've got to throw around, they're still a bigger club than we are. So we're making a lot of changes for this game. So team for the Forest game, we've got Vickers in goal, a back four of Richards, Wasberg, Calver and Every. Turns, Matt Deacon and De Silva Lopez were in midfield, with Muller in behind Canedo and Salvador, just as those three were in the game against Sheffield United. But many changes further back in the team. We are favourites for the game, which is mad, really. And Wayne Rooney is the Forest manager. So in alternate universe, non-league to legend land, Cristiano Ronaldo's my big rival, despite the fact, you know, we destroyed him and he's just managing in League 2 now while I'm touring around the world, picking up trophies left, right and centre. But in this reality, Wayne Rooney appears to be our rival, and I would like to build a long-term rivalry with him. So I'd quite like to see either Forest come up with us this year, or Rooney just use his reputation to squeeze his way into a championship club next year when we're there, just like Ronaldo did when he kept getting fired but ending up in better jobs than he was fired from. I mean, I didn't want him to get promoted so much that I wanted him to beat us in this game, though. I know I said this one's going to be a little bit more challenging, but I still expect us to pick up a win. And both Calver and Rosberg there, that was just rubbish. I don't really know what the two of them were trying to do. And Mooney, because his name sounds a little bit like Rooney, apparently he's doing a Rooney, just scored an absolute screamer, wearing a number 10 shirt with a captain's armband on. So I think little Wayne's sorting out a Forest version of himself. Salvador really should have equalised there. I mean, that was a poor miss, an excellent chance, and he really should have been tucked away. And we're now level on points with Luton as things stand. So despite having a 9-point lead, I think at one point, we could see our lead completely eroded as we move towards the halfway point of the season. I know we've got games in hand, but we've got to win them. And we're struggling a little bit against Forest today, although we have now picked up the equaliser, courtesy of Canedo tucking in a Salvador cross. I'm a little bit wary of relying too much on Canedo, as we have been recently, because he is only here on loan. We've got Geordie Shaw and Blackmore both hovering around the squad. Blackmore is currently injured. Geordie Shaw is just coming back from injury, which is why the two of them aren't really in the mix at the moment. But even before Geordie Shaw's injury, Canedo had kind of forced him out of the team, and Blackmore has only ever really been starting games in midfield so far this year, because we can't find a way to fit him into the front two, despite his world-beating performance in the famous 8-5 win against Middlesbrough. But even in that game, he only came off the bench and grabbed his hat-trick. Mooney isn't wearing the number 10 shirt, he's wearing the number 12 shirt. I think I just made up that he was the number 10. I don't even know where I got that from. Is he even wearing a captain's armband? He does look like he's got an armband on, but regardless, I'd quite like him to stop scoring goals against us, because we're now 2-1 down again, which once again puts us level on points with Luton. I don't really know what's going on with Luton. How are they up here challenging for League 1? I mean, that League 1 table looks ridiculous at the moment. Deeping Rangers top, Luton second, and Rooney's Mooney now has a hat-trick against us, and Forest are breathing down our necks as well now. Is there any original League 1 teams left in this game, or is it just you know, let's have some smatterings of non-league teams. Or Luton are in League 2 now, aren't they, I think. Smatterings of non-league teams and a few championship teams thrown in. And hold on, let's get off this nonsense. Let's go back to control. And we've got to go out and outscore them in the second half. It's a similar problem to what we've been having in the Expedition of Gold, where I'm trying to do grown-up tactics, and I just can't do it. And we have had a few discussions in the comments recently about how just changing the mentality doesn't actually change the tactics. But I don't want to have a whole different way of playing to do counter. So perhaps I just need to stop messing around with counter-attacking and just attack. And if we lose, we lose. Salvador makes it 3-2. It seems Luton might be losing their game as well, because although we're still behind against Forest, the gap between us and them is still 1 point. But we don't want to eat another defeat. We need to grab at least an equaliser in this game. In front of what's presumably a massive crowd at Forest. Let's have a look. How many people are there? Okay, only 16,000. We've had bigger crowds than that at Lollujo Park this season. That's really disappointing for Forest. They've hit the post, very close to making it 4. We need to get our act together. Ross turns, picks up a yellow card. He's supposed to be our star man. I'm struggling to I don't even know the word. Struggling to like Ross Turns because of the amount of time he spends on holiday because he's so tired. And he just doesn't seem to perform the way you would expect him to, looking at his ratings. Vasberg is another one who keeps having holidays and he's just being rubbish today. So we'll take him off, bring on Coyle, and swap those two around a little bit. I mean, it's not perfect, but at least it gets off a potential troublemaker. And Hugo Logan can come on as well, who's just made his debut for Jamaica, but didn't thank me, thank the Jamaica manager. I made that man's career. He was floundering in League 2 when I plucked him out of obscurity. There you go, look, floundering. I mean, to be fair, that is pretty floundering. He's had a pathetic career up to this point. I've saved him, turned him into a star, got him into the Jamaican national team, and he thanks someone else, which is why he started today's game on the bench. Matt Deakin, not having the best of games. He's on a yellow card. He's a bit tired. What's Nwakali? What do you do? You're a winger. We don't really need wingers. Deakin, back on. We could bring Geordie Shaw on and drop everyone else back a little bit. That seems like a more sensible substitution. So Logan drops back into midfield. And then which one is it? Is it Canedo who can play deep? And then stick Geordie Shaw up top. Just shuffle everything around in midfield a little bit to accommodate Hugo Logan. There we go. And we need to attack as well. Let's go fluid. And let's just try and grab this equaliser in this last 10 minutes. See, I fiddle with tactics a little bit, but still not changing the shape of the team at all. And I don't think it's going to be enough because Forest are attacking and we've only got like 30 seconds left. But Geordie Shaw picks up the ball deep in our own half. He needs to do something a bit special with it. Canedo trying to play Salvador through and it was a nothing ball really. And there's 10 seconds that Forest just need to run down by kicking the ball into Hugo Logan apparently. And it worked. They've won. We've lost our second game. Second in 5, I think that might be. We're dangerously close to Steve McLaren form. And yes, we are still top of the league. And we still have 2 games in hand. But all of a sudden, it's looking like it might not be the easy romp that we thought it might be 2 or 3 games into this season. If you've enjoyed that and want to see how the story continues, make sure you head over to Twitch tonight, 9 PM on Thursday. We're going to carry on exactly from this point and do another couple of hours of gameplay, probably 5-6 games, and then come back in a few days' time with another couple of games here on YouTube. So if you want the whole story, come on to Twitch or just check out the Twitch replay that will appear on this channel at some point over the next day or 2. They're on a separate playlist called Stream Replays. If you've enjoyed the episode, make sure you pop a like on there for me. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you very much for watching.